Have a nice day. I am Dr. S.K. Rajesh Khanna, Professor in Rajalakshmi Institute of Technology. Okay, welcome to the session 3 of microprocessor 8085. Okay, this session is mainly meant for the mechanical engineering students. So the examples and other things are only to visualize, and it is not exactly matching with this thing. Okay, only for visualization purposes, we are having some few examples. Okay, fine. In the previous classes, what we discussed means we discussed on the introduction on the microprocessor, what is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. Then we discussed on the 8085 architecture. There we discussed the registers, program counters, and we discussed on the stack pointer and the flags. In this thing, we are going to discuss what is accumulator, what is the other things. Okay. What is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller? The processor can do any operation. It needs some external memory to do it. Okay, microcontroller having the internal memory, internal RAM, it can do only the specific task what it is assigned to the microcontroller. This is the architecture of a 8085 microprocessor. And we discussed what is register, what is RAM. Register is a temporary memory. It works similar to the RAM. But the difference means the register having only lesser memory element, each register element having only 8-bit memory. But RAM is having huge amount of memory. The processor read only the data from the register, and it will the output of the processor stored only in the register. The user or the peripheral cannot access the processor directly. Okay, we can store the data only in the RAM. From the RAM only it goes to the register. Okay, the size of the register or the type of the data held by the register only decides the speed of the processor or the capability of the processor. Okay, the processor can do any operation, 8-bit or 16-bit or 24-bit or 64-bit, but the memory capacity what we are having, that operation, that data only processed by the processor. Okay. And we discussed something like this. Suppose if you are giving some data in the keyboard that is converted into a binary mode, it goes to the CPU, then it goes to the RAM. From the RAM, it goes to the register. From the register, it goes to the processor. In the processor, some arithmetic operation, logic operation performed. The output of this operation again stored in the register. From the register, it goes to the RAM. From the RAM, it is converted into a decimal number. Then it is displayed in the monitor or stored in the hard disk. This is the process what it is happening. For that only we are using the register inside the processor. Okay, the register may also combine together to form 16-bit elements. Beyond 16-bit, it will not perform any operation by this processor. Okay. For that, we saw a small example. If you store some data, if you created some cube in a software like SolidWorks or some other thing, and if you are opening with a low-end system, it will take 32 cycles to open. If you use the high-end core processor, it will take 1 cycle to open that element. Okay, so that is the speed is 32 times higher. But now the speed goes more than 100 times also. Okay, we are latest processor working more than 100 times compared to the 8085 processor. Okay. Now we are going to discussed about the last class. We discussed about that is in the session 2. We discussed about the flag register. In the flag register, the first thing is the sign flag. That sign flag denotes the sign of the result given by the accumulator. Okay. Next flag is zero flag. Zero flag tells whether the processor is free or not. Okay. That is based on the data in the accumulator. If there is no data, then nothing. The processor doesn't have any data to process, so it will keep quiet. It is in the halt mode. Suppose if we are having some data in the accumulator, that means processor is doing some operations. So based on that, this flag will be set either 0 or 1. Based on that only, all the peripheral will know about the status of the processor. And next thing is the auxiliary carry flag. Auxiliary carry will have a carry after addition or any arithmetic operations. Okay, next is the parity flag. Parity flag tells the processor or the user whether the data obtained is of odd number or of even number. It is sometimes it is used to do some cross checking also. Okay, and the last element is last flag is called as the carry flag. That will use it to tell the processor there is some carry. So you have to add that carry value to the result. For that we are using that last flag carry. And there is remaining three flags D1, D3 and D5, which is called as the dummy flag. None of the status will be there in these flags. Next we discussed about the program counter. Okay, what the program counter denotes. That means the program counter tells the processor which instruction has to be processed and in which sequence it has to be processed. Okay, whatever the address stored in the program counter, the processor read that address and read the instruction in that address and execute that instructions only. The processor will not bother about any other thing. Okay. So that is what we call it as the program counter. Once the program counter is 16-bit element, once if it reaches the 16th bit, again it reset to 0. Or once if the program, whatever we are loading in the program counter is executed completely, then also it will reset to 0. And it load the other program that to be executed. Okay, so all the program has to be queued in the program counter to execute by the processor. Okay, the next element is called as the stack pointer. The stack pointer, the memory is stacked one over the other. Okay. Now we are coming to the another register, that is what we called as accumulator. Okay, the name implies accumulator. It will accumulate the data. Okay. Why it is accumulating the data? Because the processor read the data present in the accumulator directly. Similarly, after the arithmetic operation, the output is stored only in the accumulator. Okay, after the arithmetic or any logic operation, the output coming out from the processor is stored only in the accumulator. So that is what we call as accumulator, accumulating the result of the processor or accumulating the inputs given to the processor. So that is the name implies accumulator, or we can call it as a register. Okay, well? Okay. So again, this is a 8-bit register similar to B, C, D, E, H and L. It can hold maximum of 8-bit data. Okay, well? The accumulator, it doesn't have any data, it indicates the processor is free. If the accumulator is having some data, it indicates the processor is having some operations. Okay, well? Okay. And if you want to add the number 3 plus 2, what it will do, first the number is loaded to the accumulator 3, that is given to the processor. Second number 2 is given to the accumulator, then only it is given to the processor. Then the addition sign is given, then it is given to the processor and the addition will be occurred. Okay, well, normally we are giving plus 3, 2. It is a 8-bit register. Okay. Okay. So this is what we called as the accumulator. In the calculator, you may see if you are adding some number 2 plus 3 means you are getting the answer as 5. And next time it is not necessary to give 5 plus, for example, 5 plus 4 means it is not necessary to give the 5 plus 4. Just if you press the plus sign and 4, automatically it will take the result plus 4 because the result is stored in the accumulator. Okay, it will take the data in the accumulator and then it add it. Similarly, in the C program, I plus plus. What is that plus plus sign? Add plus 1 with the data in the accumulator. So that is the concept. Okay, so the answer in the calculator is stored in the accumulator. Accumulator means it will hold some outputs from the processor or it will hold the inputs to be given to the processor. Okay, the next thing is called as the temporary register. What is meant by a temporary register? The name implies it is a temporary, or the register itself a temporary memory. Okay, here it is further, there is another name called as the temporary register. It will hold temporarily some data to be processed. For example, if the processor is doing some operation 2 plus 3 plus 4, okay, it is an operator on the 2 plus 3 and it find the answer is 5. The 5 has to be added with the 4. Okay, before adding that two numbers, if some interrupt occurs, for example, you suddenly closed the lid of your laptop. Okay, at the time what happens? The processor will store the added the 2 plus 3, it gets the output 5. That 5 and the number to be added 4, that will be stored in the register. And it is in the register till you open the computer. Okay, till you open the lid of the laptop. Once if you open the lid of the laptop, where it left, from there the processor starts its operations. Okay, suppose for example, if you are opening some CATIA software or SolidWorks software, okay, in the mid of the thing you are closing your lid. At the time what happens? Okay, wherever the process completed, that address will be stored in the temporary register. Okay, the processor wait till you open the lid of the laptop. Once if you open the lid of the laptop, then from there it continues and it starts opening that software. Okay, so to hold this type of operations where the operations are interrupted at the time, to store the what is the status, what it completed, that status is stored in this temporary registers. Okay, so this is the example what we discussed now. Next is the arithmetic logic unit, ALU. Normally in colloquial term we are calling it as CPU. CPU is nothing but ALU. ALU means arithmetic logic unit. It will do the arithmetic operations, it will do the logic operations. Okay, in the computer, in the processor, there is only addition subtraction. The combination of this addition subtraction only gives the multiplication and divisions. Okay, so the operation performed, arithmetic operation means it will do addition, subtraction, increment and decrement. Okay, this combination of these four operations will be the answer for all other arithmetic operations like multiplication or division or whatever it may be. Okay, how this operation is performed, how the computer or the processor knows how to add the two number. Okay, the computer and processor doesn't know how to add the two number or how to subtract the two numbers. Okay, the combination of transistors, the arrangement of transistor, the type of connections made between the transistor only do that operations. Okay, for example, you know the transistor, the PNP transistor, NPN transistor, that and all. Okay, that is different. That is about the materials of the transistor. If you know what is base, what is emitter, what is collector, it is more than sufficient. Okay, so this element, what we call, this is called as the base, and one is called as the emitter, one is called as the connector. Suppose if you are giving some voltage to the base, it is connected to the ground or something earthened, and in the collector you are giving some value, then the emitter will give the output. Okay, suppose the base is connected to some element, there is no connection bit in the collector side, the emitter will not give any output. So this logic, if you know, it is more than sufficient. Okay, there is a base, the base can be connected to a voltage or it can connected to a earth. There is one thing called as collector. If you give voltage to the collector, then the emitter emits the voltage. If there is no voltage in the collector, emitter will not emit any voltage. If you know up to this level, it is more than sufficient about these transistors. Okay, now let us come here. Okay, you are connected this thing with a number A and you are connected this thing with a number B. So this is the truth table and this is the AND gate. Okay, here it is connected to the voltage VCC, that is 5 volt supply. Okay, initially what happens, if it is 0, if A is 0, B is 0, that is no voltage is given on A, no voltage is given on B. Okay, at the time VCC gives some 5 volt. Okay, the 5 volt comes here and it is in the collector, we are giving 5 volt. As there is no current in the base, emitter will be 0. So again this, if you say the second transistor, that emitter also gives the 0 voltage. So if you give 0 to A, 0 to B, you will get only 0 as the output. Okay, suppose I am giving 1 here. Okay, in the A1 I am giving 0 here. At the time what happens? The one is goes here, the base is energized and collector already it is connected to the VCC supply, so that also energized. Then this transistor A will give some output. Okay, output as 1 to the transistor B. Now if you take the transistor B, the collector of the transistor is energized because of the previous transistor, and base it is 0, it is not energized, so it will not emit anything, so you will get the 0 as the answer. Suppose if you are giving similarly 0 1, if you swap it, the same thing is going to happen. Okay, suppose if you are giving A is equal to 1, B is equal to 1, at the time what happened, if first let us take a transistor A, there the base is energized because A is 1. Okay, the collector pin VCC is energized because the power is given from the SMPS. Okay, so that transistor emits output as 1. That output is given to the transistor B. collector of the transistor B. So now let us take the transistor B. Okay, the base of the transistor is energized because of the data 1. Similarly, the collector of the transistor B is energized because it is received some signal from the adjacent transistor A. So the transistor B emits the output as 1 in the emitter. So if you give 1 and 1, you will get as 1. So this is what we called as the AND gate. Okay, the computer doesn't know what is AND gate or OR gate, but the combination and connection of this transistor give the result of the AND gate or OR gate like that. Okay, inside the processor, we already discussed there is 62,000 transistor. Among that 62,000 transistor, 2 transistors used for the AND gate only. Okay, if you give 0, 0, it will give 0. If you give 0, 1 or 1, 0, it will give 0. If you give 1 and 1, it will give the output as 1 only because of the connection methodology. Okay. Now let us say take another example of OR gate. Here if you see the connection is little bit different. Okay, the transistor A is not directly connected to the collector of the transistor B. It is having some output pin that is that here also we can take the output. Here also we can take the output. Okay, this things are synchronized. So wherever you get the output, you will get the single output. So this is what the mechanism of the connection. Suppose in the same case, there is a VCC is connected to the collector of the A transistor, already it is energized. Okay, if you give 0 value here, the emitter will not emit any output. Similarly, if you give 0 value to B, emitter will not give any output. Okay, if you give 1 to A, at the time what happens, the base, let us take a transistor A, the base is already energized, the collector also already energized because of the power supply, so the emitter gives 1. That will comes in this way, that will goes here and finally you will get the output as 1. But it is not bothered about the transistor B because the connection is like that. Okay, suppose if you are giving some value to B and not giving any value to A, at that time what happens, the emitter will give value 1 in the B transistor and that is comes out as the output. At the time the connection, we will not bother about the transistor A, whether it is it is energized or not, we are not going to bother about it. Okay, so this is the out of 62,000 transistors, these 2 transistors used to do the OR operation, and the connections are like this. Okay, this transistors are connected in this fashion. So to this transistor will give the result for OR operation without knowing it is OR and the transistor is doing this operations. Okay, similarly for addition, subtraction, everything we are having the combination of this transistor. Okay, in some other session I will give how the transistor arranged to do add a 2 numbers. Okay, that we will discuss in the later session. Okay, similarly what are the operation the ALU or arithmetic logic unit will do means, it will do all this operation: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, selections, NOT operation, AND operation, XOR operation, like that it will do n number of operations. Okay, now we completed the registers, arithmetic logic units, program counter, stack pointer, flag register, temporary register, everything. Okay, now we are coming to the bus. What is meant by a bus? Okay, bus is nothing but a connecting element. What is normally in the English term bus denotes? The bus connects 2 cities. If you want to go to some other city, you have to board the bus. The bus will transfer you from one location to the other location. So it is called as bus. Similarly, in the computer and in electronics, any element used to transfer the data from one element to other. For example, RAM to the register to the processor. That element is called as bus. Okay, we know that the processor is working with the voltage. So any element used to transfer the voltage is called as bus. What is the element used to transfer the voltage? Nothing but a simple conductor. Okay, a wire or a conductor is normally used to transfer the electrons or electric current or electric voltage or EMF from one place to other place. So that wires, that conductors are called as buses. Okay, buses may be external. 3 types of buses are there in the microprocessor. One is the address bus, second is the data bus, and third is the control bus. What is the address bus will do means, address bus transfer the address of the element, address of the instruction, address of the program. Okay, data bus transfer the data present in that address. Okay, the data may be a numerical value, or it may be a alphabetic value, or it may be combination of these things, anything. Okay, the control bus will tell the processor what the processor has to do. Okay, it will control the operations of the processor. Okay, we will discuss one by one. There is two different types of buses are there. One is the external bus, another is the internal bus. External bus, you can see it in your naked eyes. Once if you open a CPU, you can see n number of wire passing here and there. It is pinned with some pins and other things. So that wires are all called as external buses. Okay, next thing, the wires may be a single wire or it may be a set of wires. That is depend upon the parallel or serial connections. Okay, the next thing is the internal buses. What is internal buses? The lines or the conducting lines drawn over the circuit board are called as the internal bus. Okay, you can see in the board, so PCB board, you can see lot of lines are flowing here and there. That is nothing but the conductors that is used to transfer the voltage from the one part of the board to the other part of the board. So that is called as the internal bus. So similarly, inside the processor also, we are having lines. Okay, in the previous example, AND gate or gate, the transistors are connected. So that connecting element is called as the bus inside the transistor or inside the processor. Okay. And this is the simple structure of the bus. Okay, fine. And if you take the address bus, it is a 16-bit pin. It will transfer the 16-bit address at a time. Okay, in memory element, all the data are, for example, register, you have a memory address as B, C, D, E, A like that. Okay, similarly, in the hard disk or in the RAM, each and every memory have its own address, own unique address. Okay, when the hard disk only one address is given to that memory. The address is nothing but we are in the house. Okay, in our home we have some address for our house. Is it correct? Door number 72, door number 60, door number 2 like that. Similarly, the data or in the element of the memory in the hard disk having its own address. Okay, this bus is used to transfer only those address from the hard disk or RAM to the processor, or from the processor to the RAM or to the register, whatever it may be. Okay, and next thing is the data bus. What the data bus will do, this is the architecture of the address bus. There is 16-bit address bus. Okay, so the first 8 is called as the higher order address bus, because this pin is allotted only for transfer the address. It will not do any other operation. If there is no address to transfer, this pin is kept quiet. So it is called as higher order address bus. So next set of pin, next set of 8 elements, or next set of 8 bits is called as the lower order address bus. What is the lower order address bus means? When the address is available, it will transfer the address of that element. If there is no address to be transferred, okay, the processor is doing some data operations at that time, these elements used to transfer the data. So the same memory element, same 8-bit element used to transfer the address and also the data. So this process is called as multiplexing that we discussed in the first class. Is it correct? Okay. So it is called as the lower order address bus. Next is the data bus. Again, the data bus is the 8-bit data bus for 8085. Nowadays it may be a 64-bit data bus like that. Okay, based on the capacity of the data bus, the speed increases or the data transfer increases. Okay, okay. The best example, if your phone is 3G, you can have lesser internet transfer. If you are having the 4G SIM card, you can have the higher internet speed. Similarly, if the data bus have the lower bit memory, it will transfer only the lesser number of data, so the speed is less. You are having the higher memory in that bus, you can able to transfer more amount of data in shorter time, so the process is very fast. Okay, best example is 3G, 4G. Assume that 3G is having only lower capacity, so it will transfer a very less amount of data, so the operation is very slow. Okay, so that is the example. Okay, another thing, it is the multiplexing that is already we discussed. So we are directly going to the control bus. What is meant by a control bus? The control bus having the signal to control the operations of the microprocessor. Okay, okay. Suppose there is two numbers 10 and 20. The address of the number is 1001 and 1002. Okay, suppose if you want to add this two number, what you are going to do, you are going to give this two address in the program counter and you are giving the plus sign, so the processor will take the combination of the transistor and it do the addition operation, and it will get the 30 as the output. That number 30 is stored in the accumulator. From the accumulator it is moved to the register, either to the B register, C or D, wherever it may be moved. Okay, up to this there is no issues. Okay, now what to do with that number 30? The processor doesn't know whether the number should be displayed in the monitor, or the number should be stored in the RAM for further operation, or the number should be stored in the hard disk, or the number should be printed in a paper. Okay, the processor doesn't know what has to be done with that output. Okay, well, for that only we are using this control signals. Okay, if it is put it in the memory 3, then the control will tell this processor you have to write it on the memory. So that only we are using this control pins. Okay, so it is having this operation. If the control pin is high or binary element 1, that denotes then it is going to read from the output devices. Okay, well, if it is 0, then it is going to read from the memory element. Suppose the process is giving some output. At that time, if the control signal is 0, that means the process is going to write the data in the memory. When the process is giving some output, at that time, if this control signal is high voltage, then it shows that the output is going to be displayed in the output devices, either the monitor or in the printer. Okay, well. Okay, next is the opcode fetch. Fetching the instruction one over the other, one by one. That is what we call it as the opcode fetch. Okay, we are going to fetch the instruction. Processor has to do that process to indicate that we are having the opcode fetch. Okay, well, so based on the signal from this control bus, the processor will do its operations. So this is the pin available here, and this is the lower order pin. Okay. And next class we are going to discuss on this interrupt. Up to this what we discussed on the register, what is register, what is the difference between register and the RAM. We discussed on the program counter, we discussed on the stack pointer, we discussed on the accumulator, we discussed on the flag signals, we discussed on the temporary register, we discussed the arithmetic logic unit, and we discussed the bus operations. Okay, well, the bus we are discussed about the address bus, data bus, and the control bus. Okay, up to this we are stopping this, we are closing this session, and in the next session we are going to discuss on the interrupt signals. Okay, well, okay. And if you are having any doubt up to this thing, you can ask me. My mail ID is skrkhanna@gmail.com, or you can put it in the chat box. We will give the answer for you. Okay, all the best. Thank you.